Hello all, my name is Doug Breitbart and welcome to the Peeragogy Hive Hangout. And I think what I'd like to do is start with an introduction of attendees that are online, and I know there are some folks watching that were having challenges getting in. So on my screen, if I start left to right, George, can I nominate you to go first and introduce yourself?
Okay, briefly, I'm George Pratt. I'm calling in from Falls Church, Virginia, which is near Washington, D.C., and I've been a member of this the Peeragogy group now for almost a year, and have learned a lot and continue to learn more every day. Thank you.
Okay, Gigi, you're up next on my screen.
Hi. Am I up? This is Gigi
You are.
Johnson. I'm returning to the fold. I'm sitting in beautiful San Marino, California, with 70 degrees today, and I'm a longtime member, but I'm returning to the fold for Peeragogy.
I got your pencil. Here's your notes.
Terrific.
And I'll mute myself.
Terrific. John, I saw you came on. Do you want to introduce yourself? I know you're cameraless, but presumably we can hear you. I don't see a muted mic.
It sounds like he might be looking for headphones.
He might.
Oh, okay. He's got his microphone shut off.
Okay. Charlotte, if I can throw the ball to you, you're next.
I'm Charlotte Pierce. I'm an editor on the Peeragogy Handbook and also a co-publisher with Charles Danoff, who's maybe joining us a little bit later. We have publishing companies, and we have published it into the public domain on January 1st. And you can go to peeragogy.org to put your name on a list for a print edition if you like, or just download it and use it and remix it and augment it and improve it, however you feel like. It's public domain. So, thanks.
Okay, and so the reason for our gathering today is we're going to be looking at the Newcomer landing page, and we're going to be talking about folks that are new to the project, how they experience it, where they land, and what they see, and whether we're effectively facilitating their engagement and supporting them with knowing and understanding how to play with us. Also, I want to mention for anybody that's watching, listening, Joe Cornelli on the Peeragogy community site has posted a link to a questionnaire survey for feedback. So he has asked that folks go there and participate and fill that out, because that's a valuable feedback loop for us to know where we need to go and what we need to do to improve and make what we're doing better. And in fact, the subject of this session, which is how we treat and support and facilitate newcomers, came out of the initial responses to his survey. So the loop works. So with that, it's open to the group. And Charlotte, I guess I'm going to highlight your page. I assume what you've done is shared the Newcomer page?
I did.
Screen share the Newcomer page?
Do we need to get an editing function in on it? Are we actually doing the editing here, or just talking?
I think my gut says, why don't we just, for right now, why don't we talk about what we're doing, and whether this page serves or doesn't serve in facilitating folks that would love to explore and join the effort and don't know how.
Right. Okay. I will mute my microphone, but
So initial comments?
Okay, I just for what it's worth, in the lower third, I put the link to Joe's questionnaire, and I'll leave it there for a few more minutes and then erase it.
Oh, terrific.
Because I don't know if everybody sees the chat. Okay.
Well, are we straddling also the viewing of the Hangout from the page, because that can also sit there too.
George, could you post that in the event comments?
Okay.
It's because people that are watching will be able to see that, and
Okay.
also if you could do a shortened URL, it might be a little hard for people to.
Right. Okay.
Well, this is usually, let me start with a bit maybe of a narrative launch. As I think I've been in the family since this family started, and we've over time had a challenge with the entry point for anybody, because it's coming into a fairly complex environment that already has a lot of intriguing, messy history and pathways it's gone on. I would suggest looking at the current Newcomer page. I don't think we're serving our Newcomer community. There really should be some clear call to actions on what you do next when you come in. And I think we had that some permutations ago, and I think we've wandered away from that. And I'm not sure if we're totally clear, and this is my question to the group, on what we'd actually like people to do as an orientation into the pathway.
I'm just taking notes in the chat as we go, and I'm just a quick aside on that. A fellow named George Poor came up with a concept for chaotic chat, which is the idea of logging these things in pretty robust detail. So if somebody who's not talking can record those that are in the chat, it affords people the ability to go back and review notes and capture stuff. So I think, Gigi, I come at this from a really almost crassly commercial orientation, which is, a landing page is called a landing page for a reason, and that the goal and the agenda is to have somebody get captured in terms of their attention and their interest, and then to give them at least one call to action that involves them clicking on something in service to them engaging to that degree of commitment further with the site. And that means that, at least for most people, if we're coming from a service orientation in how we approach this, the ideal value of that landing page experience for a visitor is as brief an introduction as possible about what they just landed on, but then secondarily to give them something to respond to that helps dial in who they are, what their interest is, and where they might want to be taken. So, right now, I think we're missing that vehicle completely, and it behooves us to give somebody 6 ways to Sunday to find a way in, whether it's for information and answers, or whether it's for how to get involved or how to sign up, or whether it's simply how to register to join a mailing list so that they know what's going on with events, etc. I can think of 4 or 5. I think I can think of 4 or 5 elements that we should probably be giving them the opportunity to select from. Anybody have thoughts, responses? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Doug. I
Okay.
don't think Gigi can hear you. If other people in the chat or in the event page can indicate whether they hear people, that would be great.
I don't know,
Charlotte.
Charlotte, I don't know.
I'm hearing. Well, I'm muted.
Ah. Okay, Gigi says she's lost audio, so she's going to go and come back.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, could you just recapsulate that, what you just said? You know, sometimes when you're talking, I can't really understand because I'm sort of trying to follow the concepts that you're...
Sure. So the idea of a landing page is to engage somebody and to give them a way in. And the give them a way in is really about eliciting them clicking on something to take them deeper. So, you know, there are half a dozen ways that come to mind that somebody could be given a way to click their way into the project. One of those is sort of simple registration, where they put themselves on a list and start getting updates and emails and announcements. Another way is for them to have sort of a top-level list of subjects that they could pick from to click through to if they want to do sort of a direct deep dive. And another way is sort of a how-to that would take them to the mechanics of how we're organized and where they can pitch in or chip in. And probably last would be to have a couple of links and/or contact information names that if they've registered with the site, they could reach out to for frequently asked questions or help.
Yes, I think those are awesome. That's an awesome plan. I think, yeah, like Gigi said, we go so far back. I mean, 2 years, but some of us more. We just kind of we don't see that. I think Joe was trying to get that with his survey.
Yeah.
Do we have the link for the survey on the event page now?
Let me check.
Oh, Terrell's hearing us. Terrell, do you want to come into the panel? Do you think we can do this in our current format, Doug, or would you have it a little more kind of well packaged visually?
I think it should be packaged as a landing page visually. It's really a separate page. It's not internal to the handbook. It's more internal to the project. So you know whether it's yep.
Did you turn off your video, Doug or George?
Yeah, I turned off my video, but I didn't know if you could hear me or not.
Yeah, we can.
Oh, okay.
Your lower third
right.
It does not appear. Yeah.
Bingo. Is that okay now?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the other things that I'd like to suggest for the newcomer page, and that would be to invite people if they wanted to know more about what the project's about, is to reference the PDF that they could download, and they could read through that in one block without having so much of a jumping page to page and using bandwidth that way. And like if they have a tablet, they could put it into a PDF reader and read it at their when they're offline, and then could be more informed to join us on Google Plus, and then join, maybe sort out what activity they'd be interested in, and ask how they can do that. So you don't have to be active and online to participate.
I like that idea.
And
Back in the day, we took people down the rabbit hole that was the pre-production forum, and then we had people come in first as a first step so that they could give feedback as new people that were fresh to the text after we'd been underwater and deeply in the content for a year.
I think we might have lost Gigi.
Gigi, you're frozen, but I could hear you when you were talking. Can you hear us now?
I don't know. Her video froze.
Yeah, you might try coming back in, but I would love I'm kind of trying to do 2 or 3 things at the same time, so could somebody recapitulate what she was trying to communicate there?
Absolutely. Judy was commenting that as we went deep for the last year, connectivity to new arrivees was somewhat lost. It may make sense for us. I'm not sure where archivally last landing page type effort would have been reposed, but it might make sense to go back and do some searching or routing around to find that if we can.
We had the social media classroom. That's where I came in because I had been on Think No Tools course.
Right.
This is Charlotte. And that's where I found Joe and Fabrizio having a very solitary conversation. I mean, what do you call it? Dyadic conversation about, the different subjects, but, where is everybody? And so I felt kind of not sorry for them, but I thought of it as a kind of a cool project, and why don't we try and resurrect the engagement. And shortly thereafter, we started doing some Hangouts on Google+, which the Hangouts have been very, very helpful, I think, just not only for the people who are directly participating, but for people who might come in and view it as a newcomer.
Knock, knock.
Yeah.
This is George. One thing is when you look at the Newcomer page or any of the pages for the blog, the book on the blog, is that in the right column there is a recent changes, which is about equal to the second paragraph, and that shows where some of the recent work has been taking place. Just an FYI.
I'm getting a little bit of trouble with running my screen share. I think it's the same problem. Do you think you could load it and screen share it, and I'll switch to you?
Let me see if I can do that. Okay. Alrighty. So screen share. So I just go to the.
It should be a green arrow under the chat icon all the way over on the left.
Okay.
Is the screen share button.
Yeah. Okay, I think I see what I need to do. Give me one quick second. Okay, so now back here. Does that do it for you?
I'm still seeing you this minute, but it might take a minute to come up.
I'm seeing it on my screen, so I didn't know if you could see it yet.
You have to select one of the pages
I did.
when you hit screen share. And then yeah, thank you, Gigi.
Is that it?
Gigi's got it.
Okay.
So what did you want to say, Doug?
Well, actually, George had the floor.
Oh, sorry.
But I think, I guess one of the questions is how many sort of expressions of this now exist? We've got a community.
Mm-hmm.
We have the handbook, itself. Do we have other sort of convening places, collaborative places, working places?
Yes, we have the Commons Abundance Network. Maybe someone can pull that link up. That's sort of a wiki style thing. I haven't been there too much because I have a lot of other activities that are more centered around Google Plus and my own computer. But I think maybe it's just a matter of forming a habit or putting a bookmark in your toolbar for that. And we also have the Peeragogy Handbook editorial board team community, which is a private community. It's kind of, I think there's a little bit of schizophrenia with the handbook was the kind of major project, and now we have the accelerator, which is what this is, and that is more of a production-focused exercise. So today we're doing Newcomer documentation. One week we did nonlinear learning. So we are trying to branch out, and as you know, your idea of the matrix was another one for a accelerator. What sort of form do we take? I mean, we aren't just the handbook, because we're taking those techniques and applying them to production of solving problems. And
Yep. So one of the challenges, we have 4 or 5 different expressions, not necessarily linked cross-referenced, and I'm wondering whether maybe the first thing we need, Gigi, you were going right. You're right there. We need a map, and maybe we need like a dashboard, sort of the landing page for newcomers could also be a landing page, map for these various sites/locations with a really simple top-level description of what each one of them represents. And do that, and to Gigi, to your point, and do that in a very graphic, sort of spare, clean, graphic way. And that would be the next, that would be the thing to sort of consolidate all of these pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah, I think one of the most exciting things about Peeragogy is bringing the newcomers in and getting the energy that they bring. I know that was I served that role. I think the people, Joe and Fabrizio, were really happy to see me, and that invigorated them again. And also when people come back in like Gigi, you know, it makes us feel like really motivated because she's taking it seriously, you know, and engaging. So that's, I mean, I think that's kind of it's an important population to serve and have involved.
Yeah. Well, the more transparent, easy, and inviting we can make that landing page and that map, I think we materially improve our chances at enlisting and drafting new folks.
Right. And another way we might be able to engage people, we have about 700 members of the Peeragogy in Action community on Google+. Now, maybe 30 of those are active on a semi-regular basis. But I think many of them have posted things that we could go back and engage in. And maybe, you know, explain to them that we have a newcomer page, and if they want a refresher or if they haven't engaged yet, then that might be a good place to go. Could you let us know what you think of it? And I think empowering people with letting us know what they think it's a really critical part. That was one thing that actually drew me into the project, because Joe and Fabrizio and everybody else were very welcoming and gave my ideas a lot of weight and thought, which made my ideas better because I wanted to make them good. You know?
So who's been the sort of, I mean, I know it's been collaborative, but Gigi, were you sort of the steward of the sites, the current sort of look feel sites that exist now, or was that sort of different people started or launched different pieces of the puzzle?
Can you guys hear me okay?
We can. You're
Good.
back. Your audio's back.
We'll see if I disappear into the mist again. That I would contest what used to make this work robustly is that we had sub-teams working together more intimately on sub-parts of the project. So working on something as part of a whole as a newcomer I don't think is as intriguing as coming in to a team that has an area of their own interest. So I spent some time on the visualizing group as a voyeur. That was mostly Anna and quite a few other people working on the look and feel, but people got together, and what made it really rich was working with other people on a sub-area of specialty. And so I ended up getting hornswoggled into a small group of us who took on the design of the actual site, and most of us really weren't all that warm and fuzzy about that concept, but it was kind of the underbelly that needed to happen. And I'm not sure if that's been replaced by other people who are enthusiastic about the look and feel and UI of the actual site and book. And I think that was a weakness, is we didn't really recruit directly for people whose talents fit what we needed. So what we had is sort of subgroups that were chugging along, making chunks work, but also building interpersonal bonds. And I tend to look back at this whole thing and say we are living the dream here, that everything that we touch and suffer and expand in this project are all the issues of peer-based content creation and using tools and all of this stuff. I'm so thrilled that we are such great demonstrators of our challenge here. But I do think that what made it easier to come in before is that you could sort of see that there were 4 or 5 streams, and you could walk into a stream and meet people and be able to be quite engaged with those individuals and tinkering, and for the visual group building videos and working on type fonts, and for other people it was, you know, wrestling with, you know, practicum elements. It was kind of, you could raise your hand and work with other people and almost be sort of peer mentored in your section. And I'm not sure we are still connecting in that way. I've been on this side for a long time, so I'm not quite sure what the current flow is.
I think you know, there have been phases where there's been more of that coalesced, and then a lot of that work, a lot of that subgroup mass dissipated, and as more of it got consolidated into Joe's hands and Charlie's hands and Charlotte, your hands, you know, I think it underwent a kind of consolidation. And maybe the answer is we're at a point where it's time to re-innovate, re-enlist, and re-enroll and stand up those areas, define those areas. Where my suggestion for this session had actually come from was mapping to the same idea, which was, can we give people a mechanism to self-declare their interest, expertise, value as part of a metacognition process, to say, you know, what are you good at, and we'd like to, you know, identify that and get you circled up with folks in that domain, and then we can start flowing. What are the needs? What are the challenges? And it's interesting because I was coming from sort of an org out, inside out, in terms of aggregating a clearer, more granular picture of the resources we have and the people that we have and the skills and talents they bring to bear. And you're raising, you know, equally, if not exponentially more valuable point/issue in the Peeragogy sort of flow, which is what is most facilitative to somebody who wants to engage or contribute. Whether they're a newbie, you know, whether they're a newcomer to the project, or whether they're an old hand who just has sort of drifted out and is, you know, weak signal lurking at this point. And the idea that somebody on arrival connects pretty quickly with somebody or a group of somebodies around an area of affinity and shared interest is really important. And to a certain extent, Charlotte, you were saying the same thing, that on your arrival, Fabrizio and was it Charlie or Joe provided the same thing, that you had people that you were immediately connecting with and where you could feel, you know, value.
And then
giving
also Christopher Tillman Neal, who I've lately tried to re-engage with the project. He was doing the rapper role, and every week he would do that. And now Charlie has begun posting to the blog. I think he's planning on doing it once a week. But the blog is the news section on the Peeragogy.org site. So that's something we can share to Google Plus and to the Commons Abundance Wiki, so that we get these kind of conduits going and people traipsing the same paths, maybe with new ideas. And just, you know, if we could put a little internal document, or external, you know, could be public, about where our main sites are, you know, how often to check them, how often they get updated, what is needed, what are some of the tasks that are needed. Do we need a WordPress person? I know that Joe would welcome somebody to do that, to help him with that. It's just the back end of the WordPress is pretty complicated. And
It's nice for a new look as well. This is Gigi with sort of a reflective point, which is the book the goal? Or is the book the reflection of our continuing combined learning and community? And have we designed our processes to be reflecting, measuring, supporting the core goal? George has his hand up.
Gigi, I've viewed the book as being, you might say, the core or the canon of peeragogy. But like I just wrote, that there has been discussion in the past, like in approaching other projects like Flock, that they may have a different take on peeragogy and may want to apply the canon, but for a different end community or multiple communities, like educators and local government and other communities like that. And the idea was that they could make mini handbooks, if you will, to address the challenges and maybe the solutions Peeragogy provides for their other group.
can you just explain for viewers what the Flock project is?
The Flock project, as I understand it, is that a not-for-profit group in Ecuador is working to provide guidance in reframing approaches to education and possibly even government and other entities. And they see the peeragogical process as one of the more productive and you can say tangible methods that they've come across so far.
Yeah, it's sponsored by the government, the Flock project.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, it's Michael Bowens and Daniel Araya have both been guests on the Accelerator and talking about it. So we do have some video from their appearances on our YouTube channel.
And I know I've been talking with Bonnie Bracey, who's a worldwide ambassador for the STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, especially for young women. And she's very excited about the Peeragogy approach. And
Can you ask her to come on and the Accelerator as a guest, and maybe she'd be a good person to bring some energy?
I will. At the moment, she's in Russia without good connectivity, and so yeah. But she's one of the people I've suggested to make a USB thumb drive with the PDF on it to carry with her, so she can share the handbook with people by way of the PDF when she travels.
Yeah, Gigi, part of the last couple of sessions, what surfaced is that there's the handbook is literally an expression of, but that the core practicum, the sort of practice framework scaffold of what peeragogy is, and distilling out of that a practice that can be applied in other contexts, has validity in public sector, it has validity in education, it has validity in private sector, and that there's actually a basis for peeragogy folks, people that have or are developing expertise in this practice, generating a resource and planting a stake in the ground and creating a lightning rod for it as a consulting offering and as a resource aggregation community. So I think the vision is for something that actually lives, has a an open source and not-for-profit expression that is where the handbook and the R&D and the resource aggregation and the codification of practices and all of that get collected. But there's a face of this outward facing for folks that where we may be able to productize pieces of that and it as a means to revenue generate and sustain the not-for-profit initiative and underwrite it for folks that are getting drawn into more and more administration and support service of it. Because I think it's growing and has grown, in fact, that there's a large number of people that are lurking and that have some touch point or connect to it. And in my own experience, and I'll stop after this, but in my own experience, there are a couple of communities and emerging peeragogic conversations and dialogues and endeavors that are all sort of begging for the vacuum to be filled of how do we do this? How do we actually distill out of the flow some kind of a tangible, concrete expression and output and product and process? And so the appetite is growing. I think that the market and the demand for what we're attempting to figure out here is growing, and part of the goal is to set us up to meet that demand.
Yeah, I just wanted. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say that I might suggest then, because when the group tends to talk, it tends to spend its energy thinking about the book as structure and everything else seems to be sidelined, instead of the core product being an expanding community and thought base. It's just our language tends to be reinforcing a different direction than the real richness. What I was going to suggest is that we've built then a static type vehicle for an expanding knowledge base that maybe what might be an intriguing next direction, I'm glad to talk with people offline about this, is to have the same issue we have with the Newcomers page for the entire thing. That the walk in the door, the front page, should almost be a call to action blog of all the current things going on and connecting all the pieces and pointing you deeper into the book, into the other connective tools, so that when you come in, I'm assuming looking at the data, which I'm glad to look under the hood at it, that we probably have a lot of newcomers that we then sort of lose, is to make it a really rich, almost journalistic front page as to here's all the current events going on.
Sort of like a magazine, like a flipboard or something. Sorry, Gigi, you got lost.
Hello.
Who's there?
But we've kind of been thinking of it in a much more sort of traditional outcome text and not making it a sort of big surface page and fresh stuff.
Yeah, I've been doing some. Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I've been doing some.
And maybe flipboard style.
Yeah, I've been doing some. Like in my other publishing rounds with the independent publishers, and my other like 25,000 interests that I have. I've been sort of having a half a mind out for people who are looking for a peeragogical solution, whether they know it or not. That's how I found Annabelle Howard, who runs the Big Fun Education, a nonprofit out of Connecticut, and she's just a wonderful person, a wonderful thinker. And she had some question about nonlinear learning. I said, so why don't you come to our accelerator? This Hangout is a great place. People love to come on, meet face to face, see a real. I mean, when it works, the video work, when the magic works, they love to see and engage. I've just gotten deep um, respect and affection for a lot of the people I've been working with. And so, I just kind of keep my mind or my radar out for ways to bring people in. There was another guy, I'm in a lot of these SEO circles. I'll wrap it up here in a second, sorry. But just because on Google Plus they're really active. So anyway, there's a organization called Copy Blogger. They give advice on blogging, and I mentioned that, and they're very much in the forefront of that subject. But he was interested in coming on and doing a Hive editing exercise with us, and so I think, and then if somebody else picked that up, and if you ran across him or the same person like Annabelle somewhere else, you come at it from two different directions. People feel like there's a little bit more of a community going on. I don't know. Charlie, are you here?
I am here.
Wow.
How did that happen?
George.
No, actually, Charlotte.
Well,
It was checking the red
combination.
box.
Well, I just clicked the join Hangout button, which got me in.
We were just
That's
doing
the
a
links.
peeragogical seance, and we got you in.
Exactly. Damn red box is right, Gigi.
Yeah, I can't stay long. Oh, sorry, it's a busy work day. But yeah, I want to check in, and it all sounded very, what I heard was interesting, and I guess just my contribution, just if we can move notes to the PyroPad, just because that's easier for record keeping going forward and sharing what we're doing with others. And then also maybe at some, I don't know, if Gigi or somebody else, if you wanted to do, like we have on there, I repasted in from the Newcomer page. I don't know how long, if you guys have gotten to this already or not. If you have, I apologize. But and they have like with examples from Charlotte and Regis about like just getting started or something. If we get a couple more of those up there today or something, that would make the Newcomer page much better.
Okay.
But I guess so. But I don't want to derail what you guys are talking about. I just wanted to add those things.
We had mentioned, or Doug was saying when he was trying to dumb it down for me to understand, that a flipboard style or just a place where all the different nodes, and Gigi mentioned this too, show where the different tracks are kind of progressing forward. So there's a choice of things to do, and people can see that there's energy and action going forward on a number of things, not just getting into the big monolithic Peeragogy project.
Okay.
It's sort of giving Charlie. It's sort of giving the project, the community, all the moving parts a landing page where there are one-click links to all of these pieces of the puzzle, and where we can also provide some introductory framing for somebody who's brand spanking new, and we can give them places to click and resources to go to get oriented and to just get a frame of reference.
I think we could also put ourselves on self-select onto a list of different tracks, and then offer ourselves as mentors to people if they want to get involved in that particular track or more than one. But I think mentoring is really an awesome way to, so people just have one person they can kind of check back with.
Totally. All right, I got both of that. Oops. Got both of those on there. And with the clicks, were you thinking like an RSS feed from those projects, or just like?
I think it's more
like
it's
a general link.
More entry and access. It's more general link, and obviously a descriptor that says, here's the Peeragogy blog, here's the Peeragogy Handbook, here's the wiki
Commons.
you know,
buttons.
the can. Here's the what did you just invoke? Here's the pirate. Here's the pirate pad.
If you want to get on the can, if you will.
Exactly. And the idea, I think, is and Gigi sort of articulated it before. It's a bigger project. It's now a full. It has the potential and all the moving parts to truly be a community, and to activate folks within that community if we can provide ease of access, and we can provide contextualization. Is there, it just occurred to me, but I mean, I don't know whether it exists. Have we ever implemented a membership registration database with this?
No. I mean, well, no, I guess with SMC we did, and then with, like, those intense emails that used to come from Howard about, like...
Right.
I was thinking...
So when we left the SMC, we lost that functionality.
Well, we still have we still have it. I mean, it's still up.
But didn't they say there was a big problem with it?
There might have been. I mean, I guess there might have been a problem with I checked it out the other day. The wiki was still working. The I forgot my login info, but the forums were not accessible, not logged in. But you can see the wiki. But that would be... that's just sort of a general thing, like general checkout. Mm-hmm. So in general, we need get like member info into a database.
We need a registration mechanism for people to read, and then if we have the registration database of people that are connected to this, we then have the ability to do opt-ins for do they want an email notice, do they want a Twitter notice? They can register for different modes of communication, and we can automate sending out of that based on the database.
All right, I like that. And I'll also say, I guess part 1, 2 is also the who's on the WordPress, even just as like an author or something.
Yeah.
But maybe we could. I don't know. I've been kind of thinking some way or another getting that SMC classroom back involved, even just for private discussions, and also just to build off of the all the work we did there. And I was talking about this with George yesterday. And he had an interesting point too. If we did get that, even just for private discussions, if we got the SMC involved, then like Howard could probably funnel us students from Rheingold U a little easier, which is something to think about. But all right, I can't. I'm gonna hit and run here and depart, but so I gotta get back. But it was very good talking to everybody, and I've done some notes in the document. If you guys just paste it in the chat at the end of it, I'll like edit it. I'll arrange the chat at some point. And yeah.
Can you do a quick post of the pirate pad that you're?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Do that into the chat, and then I'll make sure the notes get copied in.
Thank you, Doug.
That would be great.
Absolutely. Okay. And then and like I said also, I just copy pasted the Newcomer document. There's other things on there. There's a lesson plan, how to. Those are all. If you guys want to edit them, you just copy and paste them right directly in there. It's all Creative Commons 0 and everything. But anyway, all right. Wonderful. Honor, pleasure as always, and thank you guys for doing this. I look forward to watching and seeing more. Ciao.
Cool. Bye.
Yeah, I had some thought, but I can't remember what it was now.
Oh wait. Well, I'm logged in as the handbook, so if I exit, I'm gonna cancel everything. So I guess I'll just leave this open.
Charlie.
I can exit. Okay.
Yes. I logged in as the handbook. That's why I didn't want you logging in as the handbook.
So I can leave or no?
I'm glad it worked.
Okay, I'm leaving. All right.
Okay.